Hello and welcome to this next HBC Kids Talk. My name is Heather and it's great to be with you this morning. So this week we are continuing to look at our new series called 10 Rules for Life. And this week we will be looking at the first rule that God gives us. And it's this: God is number one. Worship Him and Him alone. Now, before we take a look at our talk for today, what I would like you to do for our 60-second challenge is to go around your house and find the thing that matters to you more than anything else. Are you ready? Steady, go! So, how did you get on? What did you choose? Maybe a favourite toy, perhaps even your parents, or maybe a favourite book or a game. Well, over the next few weeks, we are going to be thinking a little bit more about rules. And last week, we looked at how rules are important and how they help us to live well. In the Old Testament, God gave Moses 10 commandments, which means rules, to help people know how to live. Jesus tells us that those rules are just as important for us today as they were for the Israelites thousands of years ago. And Jesus helps us to understand more of what they mean. And he shows us how to follow him by looking to him. The rules that God gave Moses are in Exodus chapter 20. And the first of the 10 rules is found in verse 3. It says this: "You shall have no other gods before me." In other words, it tells us that God wants us to worship him and him alone. He should be our number one. Now you might think, sure, that's easy. I go to church and I sing to God and I pray and all the rest. But is that all it means? No, it isn't. God doesn't want to be one of many things that we think are great in our lives. He wants to be the thing, the number one in our lives. But why does God want to be number one in our lives? It's because he created us. He made us for that purpose. Do you remember our very first big question from the last series when we asked, why are we here? And the answer was, we're here to glorify God and make a really big deal of him. That's the main purpose of our lives. It's what we were created for. If we are always trying to replace God with something else, or make something else the main focus of our lives, we'll never be happy or experience real joy. Let's say you have a dream of one day becoming a professional footballer, or maybe being famous, or earning lots of money, or becoming a doctor, making people better. And you believe that when you have achieved this dream, then you will be really happy. What has happened there is that you believe that achieving your dream will bring you greater happiness and satisfaction than God. You have turned your dream into God, and that's breaking the first rule. You've put something else in that number one spot in your life. And what's more, it can never bring you the kind of happiness you dream of, because it isn't what you were created for. Just like the thing that you went and found in our 60-second challenge, it might make you happy and bring you some comfort, but it can never be the number one thing in your life that's going to bring you joy like God can. So it's not a problem to have dreams or goals in life. Often these things can be great, but we have to be careful that they don't become the thing we live for. Last week we looked at how Jesus said that loving God and putting him first is the most important of all God's rules. And then Jesus showed us how to do that. In John chapter 14 and verses 6 to 7, Jesus said, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him." What Jesus is saying here is that he and God the Father are one. If we want to follow God and worship him, then we need to follow Jesus. Jesus came to earth as a man with fingers and toes and arms and legs, and lived a life that people could see with their eyes so that we would know what it means to follow God. And over the next few weeks, as we look at our 10 rules, we're going to be looking at how Jesus lived and what he taught. So what's the first rule? God is number one. Worship him and him alone.